Hello everyone and welcome to Life on the Holes, and I am about 18 days out from launch, and every now and then I just come up here and hide. To say I'm a bit stressed is an understatement. There are millions of things that have to be done. We've still got to check the steering, we have to check the motors, we've got to actually install the bilge pumps, we've got to install the through holes, the port lights, the windows have got to be finished. Tons of stuff coming up. The next 2 weeks are just absolutely going to be off our brains trying to get it done, and we've called in some big guns for the last week. We've got the family all coming down for a week to help me get the boat on the water, and that is just very exciting for me because it takes a lot of pressure off me. We've got roof linings everywhere, we've got stuff going up the back there, but the factory here for me is my solace. It's where I come and just hide and just try to avoid thinking about the mammoth task ahead that's sitting in that car park there. Janet's spreadsheet has helped immensely just to be able to tick stuff off and say yes it's done, yes it's done, but it never ever gets completed, nothing ever gets finished, and there's going to be a massive run up to it. So hold on tight, the next 3 or 4 videos is going to blow your mind with the amount of work that we're going to get done. A couple of years ago, Janet made our rear ladder hatches, and I've got to install them before I get the boat on the water. It's going to be a little bit hard to waterproof them otherwise. So I've just done a few modifications down here and got some hinges I need to fit here. Janet's going to have to lay in the sugar scoop here to get these done. Alright, so we're getting to the end of this temporary fit and just putting in some self-tappers just to hold it in place so I can get the ladder positioning right. I think I've just about got it.
Meanwhile, Janet had taken the hatches and needed to refine the cutout for the slide-out telescopic ladders to be able to be deployed easily. There was a great deal of clean-up required to make the ladders function as designed.
I'm deep in bilge pump installation, just at least getting the through holes or the outlets put in the sides of the boat, and I basically have drilled them all. I've got one small bilge pump in the sugar scoop. I've got another one in the engine module because we have a separate module to our bilge, so our engines are actually encased in a bathtub. So I want a bilge pump in there. It's only a small one, but it's enough to get rid of the volume that's in that within that engine room if ever it gets in there, but it's generally going to go into the bottom bilge first before it gets in there, hopefully. I've also got one down here in the forward port cabin. From this door here forward for about 3 feet is a solid water tank, which is actually part of the hull. I now have another bilge pump here, and then on the other side of that is the main central bilge. So if this one here were to flood, go over the top into the main bilge, then we've got another bilge pump there to catch it. So there's one down in here. I've got an additional water tank here which I haven't found a use for yet, so we'll push him out of the way, and you'll see that we actually have this one wired up already. So this guy here needs to find an outlet here in this robe, so I'm going to mount the outlet here. Now I'm actually putting them 50 centimeters up from the water line with a high loop in it, not a vented loop. We don't want a vented loop, we've just got a high loop to make sure that we don't get any siphoning into this compartment here, and I'm actually allowing a little bit of extra hose for that reason. Apparently the higher you go, if you go above around about 3 or 4 feet above the bilge pump, then you start to lose the capacity of the bilge pump, so the head pressure is less. And I believe it's, anything up to 25%. For every metre you go, I think you actually lose another 10 or 20%. So you've got to be very, very careful you don't make them too high, or you're going to lose the ability for it to pump the 500 gallon or 1,000 gallon or 1,100 or whatever it is. Now I have 4 bilge pumps on each side and an additional hand bilge pump on each side, and as well as I have a 3,500 gallon an hour, almost a commercial grade one, which has like a 7 metre head pressure capability, and I'm able just to flick that onto a battery and throw that into a bilge wherever I need it. I've actually made that one up as well, so I've got a sort of an additional backup that can go into another boat, in fact, and I think they're pretty critical to have those sorts of things. So we're going to mount this one here. Now that's actually the water tank there, so I can't screw against that.
I've got a mounting bracket there. I am likely to glue one down and actually have it mounted to a glued bracket so that I don't have to screw into that tank, because I don't want that to leak at all. And I've also got to find the hose's way out of the bilge and up into this robe here, and then fit it from the outside. And luckily these only just go in. I've actually bought these 90-degree ones because they're great, because you can actually have them facing upwards, so that basically you get your loop goes straight up and they're more flush against the wall rather than a straight or a male straight fitting. The other thing with it is though, you need to make sure it's going to go through your core. I've got about 25 mil of core on the wall here. These only just go through, and one of them is a little bit sticky, so I might have to sand away just to get it to hook in. But something to be aware of if you buy these, if you've got super thick holes, you may not be able to fit them. Righto, so I've got these two in. This one's the Sugar Scoop bilge pump, which is only the hole extension. So there's a bulkhead right here in between that and the engine room bilge pump. So this is not an emergency bilge. I've actually got a hand bilge as well that's going to go into that region. And then right up here, up on the bow, well, not in the bow, but right up on the front of the port cabin, I've got this guy here. And this one here is actually for the port wardrobe. So basically that's all. I've got one more to do in the head here. Just got to work out how I'm going to get to that, but at this stage it's looking really good. So far today I've broken 3 hole saw drills, and you've got to notch out the end of them, and I think they're just cheap shitty drills, but it's really quite frustrating. It's not helping me get done quickly, but anyway, here we go. So every one of these has to be cored, and what I was mentioning earlier was this 90-degree angle can be a little bit problematic with your hole stick, so that makes it a little bit difficult. But I generally find if you place it downwards, you can get it in, or sometimes upwards, or just as whatever way you fast it in. This one's a bit thicker here than the rest of them. There's still one that I've found that's going to break in. There we go. So that's in. And they're all 500 millimeters up from the water line, which is pretty cool. And yeah, they look good. I like these stainless ones. I didn't want to have cheap plastic ones on the outside. They're composite inside, but they're 316 stainless on the front. So they're good quality, and hopefully we'll never have any corrosion issues with them. And quite frankly, because they're above the water line, you just pop them out, put a new one in anyway. So yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm only dry fitting at the moment. I've got to core all of these outlets, but I've got plenty of hose there to get it exactly right. And the good thing is it's pinned against a row wall there, so it's all out of sight. And you know, the door hinges back that way as well, so there's a whole heap of reasons why I wanted it down in that corner, and that's perfect. That goes down into the floor, down to the bilge below. That has taken me about 2 hours to get that done, because I couldn't get the drill down in that hole there. But now that that's done, that's the port side almost complete. Oh, those 3 bilge pumps are almost done in. I'm going away for the weekend. I'm having a couple of days off. We're going up to Johnny in Port Stephen, John and Tracy, who we went sailing with a couple of years ago. We're going to their 60th tomorrow night, and yeah, it's a 6-hour drive, so I've got to get as much done as I can now. We're going up for dinner, and then we're coming back first thing Sunday morning. We were going to go sailing with them on Monday morning, but I just don't have the time at the moment. I'm going to have to do it another time, because this boat has to be on the water, and I'm working some probably 15-hour days at the moment without days off. So heading off at 6 in the morning, and I'm hoping to pick up some anti-foul and stuff. I'm going to go and see my son Sam, who's going to look after our dog. But I'm down here in the master cabin now, and I've got another bilge pump down in here. So it's actually down in the floor here in front of this other water tank that I've got here. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to put the bilge up into this robe here. And it looks as though I might just get it. I'm not really sure where that bulkhead is. I just can't remember exactly where it is, but I hope to be able to drill. I might have to drill through, although I think I've got some conduit holes in the top of the bulkhead for other plumbing. But anyway, we'll work on that. Alright, so we're getting there on this side too.
I've only done the hull extension build. I just drilled the hole down here somewhere. God, it's way up here. You don't realise how far forward you are when you're inside the boat. Here's the forward bedroom, and there's going to be another one almost right beside it for the main bilge as well. And the last one on the starboard side is in the engine room that I've still got to do, so I've got to get in there and do that one right up in the back there. So I have completed drilling all of the bilge outlets and also the exhaust outlets here. So I've got 4 bilge outlets on each side and an exhaust outlet here. Now I would be fascinated to see if the production catamaran manufacturers or boat builders in general are coring their outlets. I have now cored the foam in every single one of these. I've gone back to about 2 centimeters, probably even more on the exhaust outlet because it's going to be nearer the water. But coring these outlets is just what I consider to be absolutely vital. We do not want any delamination of the foam, and there's a good chance that these are going to get water hitting them every day. So they have to be cored and then sealed. But I've mixed up a batch of epoxy and I'm going to fill every single one of these outlets. I've actually backed the inside of it with some masking tape, and once it's all set up I'll re-hole saw the hole so that it is a completely sealed item here. There's no chance of any water ingressing into the foam there, and I intend to do it wherever. I've actually got my through holes that are under the water are all in solid glass. I've actually made sure of that so that there is absolutely no chance of that whatsoever. But yeah, what I'm going to do basically, I'll do all of these on this side. I've got another bag for the other side, and it's going to be a bit of work to do this, but certainly worthwhile. Right, having good access in our shower is very, very important. I've actually got a pump cavity down here where the water pump is, and I've put it in the head so that obviously to reduce noise for the rest of the boat. And this is a Jabsco Paramax 6 22 litre a minute pump. The only problem is the hatch is in our shower, so I've actually chosen to use a hatch with a removable door, and that's this guy here. I have to think about waterproofing this, so they're generally splash proof in a vertical plane, not real good on a horizontal plane, so I've got to cut this out to give me just a little bit better access. It's going to get a bit messy and a bit noisy in here when I do this, but at least it'll give me great access into that pump. Righto, we've just officially fit that port light in the head, and that's pretty bloody good. And we've got David outside preparing surfaces. Down here, g'day mate.
Good afternoon.
Doing a great job up the ladder.
Yeah, off the ladder.
Yeah. So we're going to get this port light in now. He can't fall because he's actually jammed between the wall and the shed. That's cool. Well, I reckon that'll do, mate. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Righto, let's get this guy and get this guy in. It's good to know all these edges are cored, eh? No delamination, no rot. Love it. Good to know you're out there doing that and I'm not.
Thanks.
That's all right.
Really kind of you.
Oh, of course. Mate, you don't get to your age without being a useful fella. I was going to say something else, but... Righto, here we go. They go in quickly when they're freaking when you're prepared. Come along, that's it. Alright, you just push against that. You got it? Hang on, just let me tighten it in. hard to find the screw holes. It's so bloody small. Port light number 6. You ready, Dave? Righto, here we go. Here's one I prepared earlier. Oh, rip my shoulders off as I go through the door. Righto, you grab that. There's a prezi for you. Alright, let's give that a crack. Can you bang the top in? Can you bang the top in? Is it in? Is it flush? Wow, doesn't feel like it. Alright. Right, can you just push against it just until I get this ring on? Earthing a boat. It's a wide problem that is in just about every single boat. My typical earth on this boat will be down through the shafts, obviously connected to the engine, so that will earth all of that system. But I've also purchased a moonraker plate, and these are a 95% copper plate that have a surface area of around about 1.2 meters, and this has 2 large bolts that come in through the hull, and then obviously I intend to connect earthing wires to this to allow just for a secondary earth on the boat itself. And I'll also attach a large, probably a 4/0 cable to this from the mast that will go down into this plate and hopefully provide a bit of a direct pathway for lightning. Now we're all packing it about lightning because we've been struck ourselves. We know even in little interim it just destroyed the inside of it, and we spent about 9 months fixing that part-time. So I intend to install this now, and I've actually got a place for it which is not too far from the mast itself. Alright, so we're up in the forward starboard cabin, and I've mounted this on the side. I certainly didn't want it, or sorry, halfway up the bilge line, I would imagine, and I just didn't want it on the bottom because so we don't want to strike anything with it, but it's going to mount here. I've cored the holes, obviously the foam core holes around to make sure that we don't get any delamination of the foam, just in case any water actually does get in, and I'll re-drill these out. And then on the inside I need to put some big backing discs to make sure that it's pulling against the hull and not just this epoxy hull. But yeah, we'll get this mounted. It's going to look pretty good. Need some gloves and Sikaflex and everything. Under control?
Ahead of you.
Good on you. Thanks, darling. Doing a great job. The problem with Janet is once she gets the knowledge, she doesn't want to listen to me anymore.
That's not true. I just don't need to be reminded about gloves and Sikaflex.
Yeah, no.
They go together.
You'd think we pretty much have that sort of, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Some around the actual. It's going to squeeze out every bit. And I'll come around and back. Okay, so that is now fitted in there, and I've got these big backing discs on it as well. So I've got like 60mm backing discs, just so I'm actually pulling against the hull sides as well. And they're, I guess they're brass bolts molded into or cast into the copper. Very interesting. But anyway, I'll leave that now to set up, and that means all I've got to do is connect a cable to it and a couple of other earthing cables and we're done.